Alright guys, today I'm going to be talking about one of the new guns that's coming with patch 1.5, and that is the FAMAS. This is a really cool weapon. I'm really psyched for it to be there. I'll be doing a video on each and every one of the new guns and how to properly mod them, but I'm going to kick it off with this one because a lot of people were excited and asking me to cover it specifically. Now the thing to note about this gun is it is an assault rifle archetype with a 20% enemy armor damage bonus, but it has an RPM that's higher than any pre-existing assault rifle in the game. Not to mention the fact that the mag size is competitive and can easily become above 60 with the proper magazine. Now another thing to note that is a detriment to the gun is the fact that the base damage is lower. However, the unique talent on the FAMAS is this third one right here, Uncomplicated. Damage is increased by 15%. Accuracy and stability mods reduce this bonus. So that means that the low intrinsic base damage is actually a lot higher if you leave that talent on and mod the gun properly, as well as build your gear specifically around this style of play. There's a very, very good set of mechanics that you can take advantage of, and those being used properly will allow this gun to be in the metagame, but if not modded properly and if not used properly, the FAMAS will actually be a very bad gun for most players. So to talk about this for a second, the first two talents will roll random. Every time you get a drop, they will be random talents in the first two, and the third will always roll the same. Similar to a PP19 or an SVD, that seems to be the new trend that they're taking when it comes to weapons, dropping them with one unique in the third slot, and then the other two that can be anything that exists in the game prior to that point. Now, Uncomplicated, the damage increased by 15%, accuracy and stability mods reduce this bonus, is very, very cool, and I think it's going to add a lot of diversity to builds and play styles in this game. So let's talk about modding the gun. The first thing to note is that you don't want accuracy or stability, and we'll talk about later how you can mitigate the fact that the recoil is going to be extremely high due to the high RPM. So you're going to build something that has a suppressor on it that is right here. You can see critical hit damage, optimal range, and critical hit chance. Nowhere on this gun do you want accuracy or stability because that will just decrease the amount of damage that you can deal overall. You want high crit damage because you're going to be pumping a lot of rounds downrange fast and getting some crits based on that fact. And then optimal range always helps, considering that in fights now, you can trade with a marksman rifle extremely effectively if you have good aim. And a lot of people are starting to build into sniper roles, at least from what I've seen. It's something that has become popular as a playstyle. Moving on to your hand stop. What you're going to want to run on a hand stop is reload speed, optimal range, and then something else other than stability. If you can get a 3-stat underbarrel that doesn't have any accuracy or stability, again, that's optimal due to the fact that the third built-in talent on the FAMAS is pretty good if you can use it properly. But if you do get 2.5% of accuracy or stability, it's not a huge deal. It's not going to strip much of that bonus away. The reload speed is very important because you're going to be firing with high RPM, which means you're going to have to reload quite frequently, since this is higher RPM than any existing assault rifle in the game. And when properly augmented with an RPM magazine, it can go up to almost 950. And then moving on to the magazine, you are going to have a magazine size, critical hit chance, and rate of fire mag. You can swap this out for rate of fire if you're okay with a decreased mag size, but this is probably the optimal combination for DPS. A lot of people have asked me to do a best in slot modding guide for all the different weapons, and I will do that. But starting off with this series, it's going to be all 5 of the new weapon archetypes coming, how to mod them, and then kind of the best in slot for all the different weapons in general and how you want to mod them. So right now, this is what I believe to be, this is very opinionated, keep that in mind, the best combination of stat points on a magazine to run on a gun. I think it's very, very helpful. The critical hit chance especially, because you have so many bullets entering the target so fast over the course of a PvP encounter, and over the course of a PvE encounter if you're going to use this gun there. Moving on to the scope, we have a C7-9 scope, 3.4 times. I have critical hit damage, optimal range, critical hit chance. This is, variable. You can switch this out for something else. You can have critical hit chance as the main attribute. You could have optimal range for some players if they really feel like they want to be playing from a distance. There's a lot of different things, but this combination with no accuracy and no stability is what you want to be running to make sure that you're getting that full 15% bonus. Now, just to clarify, the 15% bonus, while some players may intend to roll it off of the gun, I would actually recommend leaving it on because of a certain set of talents and gear set pieces, which I'll talk about in a moment, that make the gun a lot better. And then rolling, just to look here, 15% is actually 150% better than responsive. It's 150% of the base value of responsive, and everybody kind of prioritizes responsive at 10% when closer than 10 meters. Well, this is an unconditional 15% that just relies on you not having accuracy or stability. That's better than other percent weapon damage bonus in the game, in terms of weapon talents in particular, and is very easy to keep active. So I would always recommend leaving Uncomplicated on the gun, as well as rolling other percentage weapon damage bonuses like Responsive or Unforgiving, or Competent if you can activate it and you're running a skill build, onto the gun itself. It is in the third slot, so that does make it a little bit worse because you would normally have something that would require electronics in this slot in order to activate it. However, I do recommend leaving this on the gun. Now, talking about how to take full advantage of this gun using a certain set of alternate mechanics, let's look at Sentry's Call. The 2-piece bonus on Sentry's Call is 30% accuracy. Now, this is not modded accuracy. This is not on the gun itself, so it does not decrease the amount of damage that the gun is going to deal, but it also acts essentially like putting on a couple of accuracy mods to the gun itself. This 2-piece bonus pairs very nicely with the FAMAS and actually makes it very viable, whereas normally if you were to run this setup and not have any additional accuracy or stability on your gear or from other sources, the gun would jump all over the place and become unusable. So 30% accuracy is very, very good. Likewise, the 3-piece, if you're going to build into it, has 10% headshot damage, which is very nice, and it opens up the door for running a 3-3 composition with Striker. Now, let's move down here. I don't actually have any Striker on me. The PTS has been very unkind with our RNG in particular. But moving on to Striker, let's look at the 2-piece bonus of Striker. 20% stability. So what you can do is run a 2-2-2 composition with Striker, Sentry, and 2 Tacticians, for instance, or 2 high ends, and then have drastically increased stability and drastically increased accuracy without ever putting any on your gun and still maintaining the flat unconditional 15% bonus damage to all targets at all times. The FAMAS is a very good weapon, and I foresee this type of build having a very prominent place in the metagame. Likewise, the 3-piece bonus now has use in PvP. 10% enemy armor damage actually will equate to more damage to players, so running a 3-3 composition with Striker and Sentry may just well make a resurgence and come back right into the PvP meta, guns blazing. I think that's something that's quite possible to happen. Moving on, there are a couple other things it's important to note that pair very nicely with this gun. You have the talent, Steady Hands. Now, this is extremely valuable. Enter any cover to reduce recoil by 25% for 10 seconds. You do not need to remain in cover. All you have to do is tag the cover. You'll reduce your recoil by 25% for 10 seconds, and coupled with the fact that you have Sentry or Striker, or the combination of both if you're very, very ambitious, you can have very, very accurate shots with a gun that has extremely high RPM and increased base damage from its 3rd talent slot, that will shred through NPCs and players alike based on the other values on your gear, such as enemy armor damage and your base damage scaling with firearms. This is a really cool gun with a lot of potential, and I know this may seem like kind of a one-dimensional sort of video, but I will be covering every single gun, all my thoughts on how best to use them, how best to mod them. I'll probably kick it off next time with the Tactical UMP or the converted USC. These are some submachine guns that look like they're going to be a lot of fun to use. But right now, I thought I would start with the one that I think is going to have the most attention in 1.5, have the most potential, and create the most build diversity. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for listening. If you want to support the channel, please check out the links below. And as always, have a nice night.